So, hey everybody, it's Rebecca here. Years ago, I published some articles in a now no longer existing magazine here in Southern Oregon. It was called the Rogue Valley Parent. And this one was first published in June of 2008. And you might go, oh my gosh, that was a long time ago. Yeah, but as I've been pulling these files out and looking at them and going, my gosh, this is still relevant because I know parents and grandparents are kind of going through some of these things. And yeah, I'm an early childhood person, but I also as a parent, I had a nonprofit preschool for many, many years. And of course, I'm teaching now other early learning people, but there's just something about parenting and the experiences that raising children will really never leave me. And I wanted to share some of these. And if you want the printout of it with some updates on it, because at the bottom of the article, I add some updates that are, in this case, there's some resources. So this was called In the Interest of Childhood. Again, originally published in June of 2008, and it begins with a quote from Helen Keller. Security is mostly superstition. It does not exist in nature, nor do the children of men as a whole experience it. Avoiding danger is no safer in the long run than outright exposure. Life is either a daring adventure or nothing. So here's how it begins. I grew up in Michigan in the 50s and 60s, the good old days. Every generation has their own perception of the good old days, so if you want to roll your eyes right now, go right ahead. We played outside most of the time. Frankly, indoors was boring. And if you were anywhere within sight of a grown up, you were soon relegated to something called chores. So we steered clear and spent most of our time outdoors, even the dead of winter. Remember, I said Michigan, which is like frigid. We didn't have much in the way of toys and entertainment that would keep us indoors anyway. Our swing was an old tire swing from my dad's milk delivery truck tied to a heavy rope, which broke once and sent me crashing to the ground, splitting my lip. My mother said it'll get better by the time you get married, and it did. I had a bike and a pair of roller skates. These are the kind that are in the antique stores now, the ones with the keys. Yes. We shared a wagon. My older brother was the best wagon puller in the neighborhood. Once, why, being one of his lucky passengers, the wagon flipped over and sent me into the fire hydrant. I split my head open. My parents didn't believe in going to the hospital unless you were being born or you were dead. And seeing as I was neither of those, my dad used an old pair of scissors that cut away some of my hair, and I don't even think he sterilized them, and used sort of a butterfly bandage on it. True to my mother's words, it healed well before I got married. And remember, this was the 50s and 60s. My childhood was filled with made up games, hopscotch, jumping rope, sandlot baseball, tag, hide and seek, and just plain running around and going crazy. The adults, for the most part, stayed on the outskirts, knowing that we would be home by dinner, or at least by the time the streetlights came on. It doesn't take a rocket science to know that the things have changed and childhood right along with everything else. While kids have great advantages these days, the one thing that they don't have is free time. Organized sports, technology, formal lessons, and hours of homework compete for our children's free time. I saw the difference between our older sons, who were then in their mid-20s, and their sister, who was 12. As a parent, I am always trying to balance her busyness with the fact that she is still a kid and needs to be doing kid things as well as family things. Well, growing up, we didn't have air conditioning to make indoors attractive or child predators living down the street. We knew where we could go, which was pretty much everywhere, and where the kids our age lived. There were undeveloped lots, ponds in spring to catch millions of pollywogs, and trees to climb. The grown-ups kept a lookout for every child, although we never had a sense of being watched. Let's face it, we need to keep our kids close these days. As a result, childhood is transforming into something as artificial turf itself. And don't get me started on that one. As technology expands and childhood fears regarding safety and success intensifies, childhood is morphing into something that resembles pre-Victorian times when children were treated more as miniature adults rather than as developing human beings. So what do? We need to have serious dialogue with our city planners and be proactive. Ballparks and skate parks are only part of the answer. and these do not provide children with real free time to tinker and explore. We all need to have access to natural surroundings, parks and places for running, rolling in the grass, and climbing trees. Children need to have access to the outdoors, not in an organized way, but in an unorganized, wild way. Over the past years, I have read well-researched information referencing the great work of Richard Louv, who wrote Last Child in the Woods, Saving Our Children from Nature Deficit Disorder. This book is still on the top of my list of must-reads for anyone associated with children. This is one of many books that have been written in the past 30 years or more addressing the overscheduling of children's lives, the loss of childhood, and its implications for our children and us. Bugs, dirt, sticks, rocks are not horrible things. Dirty, yes. Horrible, no. My mother would simply hose us down at the back door, then throw us into the tub to finish up the job. We place too much emphasis on keeping kids clean at the loss of real and necessary life experiences and exploration. Childhood was never meant to be clean, and if it is, then there isn't much going on upstairs. We learn about balance from falling or near falling experiences. I was fascinated by the article which compared two taller aged children. One child walked over uneven ground comfortably and with confidence, while the other, who was with her mother, the director of this preschool, a professor from Brazil, noticed this and told the mother that the daughter was not developing the adequate information in her brain to understand balance because she was not being given access to uneven ground. Now, this is a story about dirt. During a family camping trip, I watched 3 children play with nothing more than pebbles, a small mound of dirt, and small sticks stuck in the mound. They were absolutely filthy. One of the children said, "You have to sing happy birthday to me now. Count to 17, because that's all you get." You can't duplicate this kind of learning and social interaction in any kind of laboratory or a workbook. So quoting from Louv, modern life narrows our senses until our focus is mostly visible, appropriate to about the dimension of a computer monitor or TV screen. By contrast, nature accentuates all the senses, and the senses are a child's primal first link of self-defense. Children with generous exposure to nature, those who learn to see the world directly, may be more likely to develop the psychological survival skills that will help them detect real danger, and they are thereafter less likely to seek out phony danger in life. Play in nature may instill instinctual confidence. Children invent knowledge through their play. They discover their humanity, their connectedness to one another, and their community. They learn language, science, math, and yes, even literacy. You must take risks in order to learn, and children's play is all about risk-taking. Through real, unabated play, children learn about politics, taking turns, friendship, rules, commitment, fairness, and competition. In my own childhood experiences, we divided and redivided into teams and tribes. We chased one another and were chased until we could chase no more. Then, almost as if on cue, we collapsed until onto the first grassy lawn we found and waited for the stars to announce that it was time to head home. We made up rules, broke rules, and suffered the consequences of all of it. Somehow we must provide these same experiences and opportunities to our children. We can do this. We have proven our inventiveness and creativity time and again. It's our wisdom that has me worried. The greatest gift we can possibly give this generation of children is their own childhood. We may have to fence it in a little bit, but I truly believe we can do it. The question remains, do we have the heart and determination? So there you go. That's the article. There's updates at the end of it, along with some updated resources as well. The ones in the original article, I needed just to update those. So if you want a copy, follow the link, and then that will open up for you. Anyway, thanks for riding along. I really appreciate it. Talk to you soon. There will be more.